Hey, you can tell me. Keep trying to make.
What the fuck is your background, Frankie?
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize it changed. It's PMT, except it has our logo. It's PMT studio. I didn't realize it changed.
Frankie, there you go. The power of manifestation.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into Barstool Breakdown, episode 52. No special numbers, no jersey shout-outs, none of that, but we do have a very special episode for you. This week, I started a blog, barstoolbreakdown.com. Go check us out. And part of that blog is we have 3 additional writers you're unfamiliar with. Obviously, you're familiar with Frankie and I from this show. If you're, subscribed and liking and commenting, we appreciate you already. But we're bringing on 3 more heavy hitters. Speaking of heavy hitters, we got Big Twan, maybe the heaviest hitter of them all. I mean, very familiar with him from the Yak, Jerry After Dark, Mook Can't Sleep. You got Reed Jones, also does clips for Mook Can't Sleep, helps out where he can. Started this whole blogging thing by himself. And then the legend Derik from the chat, rally ripping in the stands for Hail Marys, doing everything he can to support the riders. I think we're building a very solid team here, and I'm excited for you guys to get to know these guys. So that's what this episode is. We're going to get to know our riders, how they got into Barstool, and shoot a little bit of this shit so you can see some of their personality. So without further ado, let's get it.
Get sturdy as fuck. This is it.
I should be over all the butterflies, but I'm into you. And baby, even on the worst nights, I'm into you.
The breakdown has gotten to a point to where we started reaching to the page episode was 9,000 views, and then we had 8,000 views right after that. We had 5,000 views. The views were going up. They were at a solid, consistent base. But now what we've been doing is we've been putting out this interview show to where it's we don't do our segments, we don't have our breakdown, which is fine because really it's a lot of time that goes into producing. I mean, that's 2 hours worth of content that I try to get down to an hour 20, hour 25. So Reed comes out with this blog idea. He's blogging, trying to make the blog great again for Barstool Tate, whatever. Just another crazy Stoolie trying to get noticed, and I appreciated that. I was like, count me in. Obviously, I wasn't keeping pace. So as a way to kind of get the ball rolling for myself, forced commitment kind of thing is I like to be a guy that does what he says he's gonna do. Chugging beers for Dana Beers, that was never gonna stop. I'd still be chugging if he wasn't on the show. So I bought the domain for a year, and I originally was just gonna buy it for 2. I was gonna do the free writer thing, but then it doesn't come with any of the cool perks or whatever. And that was for 2 people. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I bet I can find 3 more people. I'm going to include Frankie regardless, even if Frankie doesn't have time to write, even if Frankie uses his blogs to post our YouTube video of the episode we just put out and maybe say a quick something about it. It doesn't matter. Obviously he was going to be included. And I was like, all right, I need to find 3 more guys. Who can I reach out to? I reached out to Reed, obviously, because of the blogging thing he had already going. The inspiration behind me buying the domain was because Reed already had his thing going. And I also didn't mean to step on your toes, Reed, because I know you have your blog, which is why it was more of an invitation. Hey, join it. Or if not, I'll still like and retweet your shit. Doesn't matter. And then I asked Reed, and I think he even mentioned, or no. And then I think I went straight to Derik. I forget how it went. And then I was like, who else do we need? And then I was Big Twan was the last to come to mind, last to get mentioned. Because I know Big Twan, you do a great job already with your own fucking personal content, getting yourself in the mix, fucking calling on Mook Can't Sleep regularly, trying to get Ella G to be your next wife, shit like that. So busy man, right? I didn't know if you'd have any interest in writing, but if you do have any interest, I think that you have a shit ton of stories to tell, even if you just encapsulate your past of being on Barstool, being fake Travis. How the fuck did you do that? Give him the game plan to how you became the biggest crook on the Yak. Shit like that. I think there's an opportunity for unique individual Stoolies who obviously all want to get noticed. Why not just collab and put it out on the same website? I'm not asking for anything from you guys but effort, and I think it could be fun if we put some shit into it. And I guess that's all I got to say about the blog. My blog monologue.
Yeah, for sure. And that's awesome. I think it's going to be great. I think, like I said, if we'll put the episodes out there, throw some stories out there. Could be personal stuff, could be stuff about Barstool. I think, people actually do tend to feel like they know you more if you tell personal stories. So even if it's not something about Barstool, if it's about the weekend or your past or something that you can compare to a Barstool event or something, I think all of us have just like unique views on different things from different areas and stuff like that. So I'll let you do it, Jonathan, since it's your thing, but let's get into let's introduce these guys and tell the people who they are really.
I guess, I mean, we'll start with a man who needs no introduction because he's been on the show before. He's been on the Yak. He's been in more Barstool streams than Smitty has nowadays. I hope Smitty's getting better, but that's the fucking facts and the truth of the matter. His name is Big Twan, Fake Trav, John Anthony, whatever you want to call him. Mr. Maldonado, how are you? What got you into Barstool?
What up, Pop? Yeah, let's just choose love today. Absolutely. Yeah, man. I think I didn't even know what Barstool was. I knew what like smoke shows were back in the day, like in college and shit. A couple of the girls I went to school with was on there, so I knew it through that. And then someone showed me a page. I think KFC tweeted I was wearing a shirt in Cortland. It said it said "Suck farts, break hearts," and he blogged about it or something. I was like, I didn't even know what it was. That was years ago. And then coming back to this, I would watch it in and out. I got hooked on the Yak. And then I started really watching it every day. I think they started talking about Barstool Idol. And I was like, I'm so fucking pissed off. I missed them announcing that was going to be an actual thing. And then ever since then, I've watched every single day to not fucking miss anything. And then we know the Travis, and then we know the Twan, and then we know this, that. But yeah, dude, I'm fired up. I like the blog. I was thinking about. I write like on my own. I like to write. I was like, I don't want to pay for like a thing to no one, but all of us getting together, I think it'll be good. I'm working on a blog now. Cortica's on Saturday, so I have a good story how I got arrested and kicked out of school. So that should be good.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
I'm looking
relatable.
Yeah, very relatable. I once got arrested while crossing the street, taking a piss. We got out of that one, thank God, or else I'd be on your local registry. We'll just rip right through them. Let's see.
Yeah, good segue, bro.
Yeah, thank you. I might.
Who's coming next after that one?
Let's see. Well, Derik just left. He said he didn't want to be offered up after that. So Mr. Reed Jones, Write and Read. What's up?
Yeah. Obviously, so I'm the youngest out of all of us up here. I'm 23, still in college. Not because of grades. I took 2 years off because of COVID and then like personal stuff. So I'm kind of in like a weird spot. But I got into Barstool mainly. So I'm from Virginia, about 30 minutes from UVA. Granddad played football at UVA. Aunts and uncles went to UVA. So just always a lifelong UVA fan. And before the football team kind of went into, the shitter for a little bit, we had Chris Long. And Chris Long was, number 2 pick in the 2008 draft, big UVA player. But the coolest thing about Chris Long, too, not just that, he's Howie Long's son, but Chris Long went to the same small private school for high school that my dad went to. And my dad was part of the first grad class that actually played sports in college. Now, my dad was a D3 lacrosse player. He's not, number 2 pick in the NFL draft. So I'd always kind of followed Chris Long around, and I'd known since probably about 11, 12 years old that I wanted to do some type of career in sports because I would just religiously watch SportsCenter. I read the Bill Simmons basketball book. That's how I got really into basketball, and that's kind of how that's my niche. And all of a sudden I see Chris Long says he's going to be on some podcast called Part of My Take. And I'm like, okay, I consume anything that Chris Long's in, this and that, because I was still at that time I was a freshman in high school, so I was starting to be able to watch PG-13 stuff, get in kind of have unrestricted internet access at that age. So I started listening to Part of My Take because Chris Long was on, and I was like, these guys are funny. And then I heard PFT talking about that he's from Virginia, that he went to JMU, which is 30 minutes the other direction from me. So I just kind of fell in love with Barstool of just kind of that they weren't reading from a teleprompter and wearing suits and this and that I really, really enjoyed kind of just their personalities, where it's now it's to the point where Big Cat and PFT could talk about paint drying, and I would find that more entertaining than some other like sports media personalities that you just kind of are very like cookie cutter, kind of like those like model home communities where it's like they all look the same. It's super replaceable. It doesn't matter that you're on this house or you live at that house. It's all similar. So obviously being a 23-year-old, college guy, the goal is to end up working at the pirate ship, end up working at Barstool. But I kind of was trying to think, how can I separate myself from all the other guys that are just like, hey, I place bets on DraftKings and I, tweet out my sports opinion, this and that, and try to get a job at Barstool. So I've always enjoyed writing. I was a good writer in high school. One of my majors in college is journalism, so that I could go sports media route, even if it's not Barstool, just have a job in that capacity. And I just kind of realized, like, hey, if I want an internship at Barstool, whether it's the lowest rung, even if you're an intern just to scrub toilets and stuff, that I want to do something that I can separate myself from the pack of people within my age group, age range, and this and that. So I figured I already kind of have a podcast that I do here and there, but I just don't really have the time to like spend hours, doing research for podcasting and editing. So I figured, why not try to do a bunch of blogs, because Ohio State, is a great writer. And I was like, that way, not only can it maybe gain traction if, a blog idea takes off or whatever, but also I can have a body of work on like a internship resume and this and that, where I say, hey, look, I've done 100 blogs in 100 days as a college student that works 2 jobs. Imagine what I could do as an intern, with the capacity of being able to do that and only do that, not have to go focus on, today's this job, today's that job. I got homework, I got this and that. So that's kind of how I got into Barstool and what inspired me to start writing. And as you said, I do not think that you're stepping on my toes at all. Everyone up here, I love sincerely and everything. And it's just the fact that I would rather be able to join you four in the blog space and do, conjoined ideas, content all together, whether it's a blog or this video or whatever, as opposed to just putting it out myself. Because if I put something out and it's connected to you four, it has a better chance than just here's this 23-year-old straight white dude in college talking about the NBA. Like, how many people are like that, as opposed to doing something like this? So that's kind of my thought process. And thanks again for, thinking of me. And this is, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, dude, thank you for clarifying your straight. Appreciate it.
What's up, Twan?
Not
I don't
Malice.
want it to be lost on the people nor us. The way Reed says weather.
Weather.
Say it again.
Weather?
I just want you to know, whoever's watching this, that we know, that he knows, that we all know, that it's fucking weird. And every time he says it, I want to start spitting on the ground.
8 years in Pittsburgh. The first 8 years of my life in Pittsburgh, and then the first 8 years of my life in Pittsburgh, living in like bumfuck Virginia, where like 3 of the schools had drive your tractor to school day. I went to speech therapy a little bit as a kid.
Weather is what their teeth do. I've never heard it be an accent.
Oh my
It doesn't even say weather. It doesn't say weather. It says weather.
It's it's
It says weather.
Whether or not.
it's pretty much what I say when I arrive somewhere.
Yeah, again, apologize
be
for
there.
breaking it. Derek will get to you, but I'm just going to let that go.
We gotta
Yeah,
go.
that's a good point. People
Yeah, I
would have been
can't take the
pissed.
weather thing, but
If you want to
every
work
time
at
I
the
hear it, I
pirate
love
ship,
it.
you gotta have
Someone
something
literally
a little
just went
wrong
back
with
and
you.
deleted their comment. Who the fuck's this Reed guy, and why does he say weather like that? yeah.
Maybe
No
I'll
one
start
knows.
saying
No one knows why he says it like that. But yeah, it is kind of catchy, and
Could
it
be
always
the next nutter.
does like pique my interest a little. It's like, what the fuck's he talking about? What did he just say? Like, yeah, it always gets me a little bit. A guy that always get you on your feet and out of your seat. If you're at a commies game, at least, Derik from the chat, rally ripping on Hail Marys. A guest on House Call with Derik and JJ. Derik and JJ with JJ and Rico. I mean, the number one rider, and I just disrespected him. You probably pissed at me already.
No, no, you're good, Sands. You're good, Sands. You know you're the homie.
Yeah.
Shout out to the riders. I love that you guys consider me number one rider. I gotta divulge that. I just got, honestly, and I guess I'll get to it in the story here of how I got into Barstool, right? Because that's what we're doing. It's not as cheeky. It's not as roses and rainbows to start the story out. I broke up with my girlfriend for like a year, and your boy was depressed. Your boy was drinking heavy, and it was like NFL season and stuff. So I was on FanDuel a lot. I was sports gambling. I was losing. So I was going on YouTube trying to find videos of like picks and getting information and shit like that. And I came across good old Barstool Sports Advisors, and I found the source. And I mean, the source, once you get a second of them, you can't have enough. So I was ready to roll. I even started talking like Stu Feiner after like a month or two of watching Sports Advisors. I was so addicted to him, and it helped me get out of a dark place. You know what I mean? Everybody been through a breakup. It sucks. Whatever. Not gonna be mopey about it. But Barstool was there for me. And what was even crazy about it was the more that I consumed the content, it was like older content. Of course, it wasn't like stuff that was up to date. But when I caught up to date, and I caught wind of the chat, I was addicted. So like, I forget what it was. I think it might have been in December, the Army Navy game, and it was the college football show, and it was Indianapolis doing the show, Dave Portnoy and everybody. And I think this honestly was the beginning of his like crazy streak of when he was hitting all the big bets. So he was like, "Yeah, we're going to go with like." I forget who we went with. It was either Army and Navy. And I was like, you know what? It's Dave Portnoy. I didn't know much at the time. I'm going to ride with this guy. I'm going to follow his bet. And everybody in the chat was rocking with it. And so like I went off to like a basketball game, and it was a crazy game. Like they covered the spread on a safety or something ridiculous. Like I forget how the game ends, but it was ridiculous. And I go to the chat the next day, and there's just a bunch of people that's like, yo, remember that game? Like it was a community. And I remember you talking about that community in your blogs, Sands. And that was like that same feeling that I felt in the chat. It was like, yo, they remember me. And it was like, I didn't have anybody at the time. I think like, my friends, like all the people, the whole breakup shit, no mopey shit. But I found the chat. And so then Survivor was also going on at the time. And I think in January, I caught wind of like a chatter. He called in to Barstool Radio and was talking about Survivor. And I was like, yo, that's dope. You can get from the chat and actually talk to these guys. And so like at the time, I was too pussy to call on the Barstool Radio. They had like a bunch of viewers, not all the big timers, but like a bunch of people from the chat was in there. I wasn't going to do it. But shout out to my guy, Rico. He had Healthy Debate. And so like Healthy Debate wasn't as intimidating of a place. It's all Critical Darling. And the chat was just such a tight-knit community in there that I got so addicted to it, and I started going back on the Rico stuff, and I saw myself in a guy that everybody knows his past, but like the stuff that he's doing now, the better person that he's becoming, I really related to that. So I started rocking with Rico, and from the Survivor stuff, the Healthy Debate things, I was just another Stoolie in the chat. I wasn't nobody different. I was just rocking with the content, getting down with everything. And eventually Neely Boy reached out to me. He put me in the Stoolie group chat with you guys. And I'm not going to talk about it too much, but another group reached out to me, and that just solidified everything as far as rider goes. And it's been nonstop from there. The rally rip, the rider reports that I do, it's all for the community, because that's kind of what saved my life. I was in a bad place, guys. And, as crazy as Barstool gets, the one thing that we do know about this crazy pirate ship is that it is family. So like, no matter what goes down, it could all end tomorrow for me. Like it could be like, yo, you know, Derik, this is as far as it goes for you. The things that Barstool has done for me, I mean, I'm good. You know what I mean? So I'm very excited to get busy with the what are we, the BBB? Are we the quadruple B? I think we're the
Yeah,
quadruple.
I
We
think
gotta do four.
BBB. Yeah, they still have that one. I think
It might be at the quad. I'm so down with this quadruple B movement. I'm down to like bring the rider perspective to the blog. It's awesome. You guys are awesome, and I'm very excited for this. And I'm very thankful. You know, I'm very thankful that you guys included me in this.
Yeah,
I'm ready
bro,
to ride,
that's
baby. I'm so ready to ride.
You're so right though, dude. I mean, when I got real into Barstool, I'm not going into my story because I've said it enough times, but I literally had COVID, and that's when it like I had COVID. I was in the hospital for 8 days. So like that was like Barstool was my life basically. Like I barely even spoke to my wife who had just had a baby like 4 days before. Like it was nuts. So like you said, like I started watching this shit. I started getting more involved. I started watching stool scenes, and I was like, I felt like I just knew these people because I was watching them. You know what I mean? It was like real. They weren't like Reed was saying, where ESPN, they're in suits behind cameras reading shit off. It was just real people. And then I ended up getting a Twitter, just like, you know, you were saying you got, you know, stuff to like, you know, speak to these people. I got a Twitter just because I was like, I want to tweet at this guy or that guy or see what they're talking about on this show or that show.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's actually, I've had that Twitter since, I don't know, 2009 or some shit, but I never used it. Which is, I need to go back and check those tweets, by the way, now they say that. But it's probably like, it was probably like Frankie is brushing his teeth right now, because that's what Twitter was, I think, back then. It was just the annoying like update app. But anyway, it's a community, and I feel like this is, you know, as tight as you can get right here, right now. So I'm excited as hell.
I couldn't agree more. And it really is that, like I said, I've said it before, this sense of community that, like, even being a fan of Barstool, being in that group chat, like, it did, like, when I joined, I was out alone by myself, like, you know, like, didn't really have nobody to go to. And then the group chat, you know, that shit is cool. It feels good to be included. And then it also, like, when you do get plays from the boys, like that are on the pirate ship, it's like, damn, okay, like, we're doing something here. Like, we're getting noticed. We're in the right direction. And if anything, like, we can help be one of those positive fans, which is another thing I enjoy about you guys, because Barstool's full of a bunch of commenters that are just negative. But, you know, the opposite side seems to be the louder side, which is those positive fans. And there's a lot to be positive about. Obviously, the pirate ship continues to move in the right direction. Today, they're signing John fucking Gruden. You know,
Crazy,
like, fucking fire me up. That was awesome on the yak today. But yeah, I enjoy you all being like a part of this team that, like, at least I'm trying to build. That we can, you know, I want the breakdown to obviously progress further. You know, to get noticed further. Frankie and I have, you know, grinded on this long enough to where it's time we have to reach out to more heads, more faces, get different opinions, because you know, what's Dave always say, to the moon, right? So if Barstool's in the name, I'm still trying to head that direction. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, like, being excited and being a part of it. But yeah, John Gruden getting signed was fucking nuts. It fired me up. Him on the yak rating people was amazing.
Wild.
What position would you guys play in the John Gruden Barstool football team?
Oh my God, it's a good question.
Nose tackle, 3-eye, 3-tech coming up the middle. Hands and feet, ear to pocket, steel rods.
Gruden would have loved Twan. Are you kidding me?
I was dreaming when I was watching that show. I was telling Jonathan, I'm like, dude, I literally have FOMO so bad watching these messages go down about how great this is. I started watching it. I was crying on my planning period at school, and I just kept thinking to myself, God, I wish it was in this line. I'd show him, you want to put me at fullback? Put me fullback. Want to put tight end? You want me? Watch this pass blocking. I would have just fucking been. I would have just been going off, dude. Actually, I probably would have just shit myself, because I can't believe John Gruden's at the fucking Barstool office, or myself.
My glory days of 8th grade, where I was a second string quarterback, and every time your team was down 16, the second string had to go in, and our first string was terrible. So second string would come in, like, first quarter, you know, after the first 2 drives, it was like a fumble. You know, it was real fast. I was in the game more than the starting unit. I led the league in touchdowns as a backup quarterback, but I don't think I could play quarterback. They got too many guys as a quarterback.
No. You can make it sense. He took Smacky, and he's not going to make it past the drug test. So I think you're good.
Yeah.
No, they had to reevaluate Smacky, which I think after lunch he was out. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I would tell him, you know what, I'm coming in fullback, running back, edge rusher. I was too small. I was too small to be good at high school football, mainly a wrestler, but hit puberty a little late, turned into a pretty solid rugby player. I'm not scared to make a tackle.
Yeah, there you go. Hell yeah, yeah. I think I could line up outside too, though. If the quarterback position is taken, Mega McMoney had some good rips, good reps.
She
Today,
did.
yeah.
She had good.
Like if she was QB1, I wouldn't mind stepping outside and getting dirty. I think I got slow release, fast hands. I'm like a white Devontae Adams. People have called me that before, but they also say I got hands.
Called you that, Sands? No, hold
Nobody.
on.
All right, I'm gaslighting. I'm gaslighting.
I would have been a Puerto Rican Warren Sapp right in the middle, dude. John Gruden would have fucking loved me. Dude.
He would have loved you. Yeah, no.
We would have listen. We would have had to obviously get in the weight room, get a nutritionist, and start making me shakes and whatnot. But he would have got the job done.
Now you're coming in Puerto Rican Tony Saragusa.
Saragusa. That's
okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna switch the topic here for a second. I mean, all of us are pretty, to a point to where like we've at least been involved in some sort of content. Frankie and I have been on Wake Up Minty twice. I've fought in Rough and Rowdy. Derik, as I've said before, has been on House Call. Twan the Yak, Reed, Mook Can't Sleep, and helping clip for him. I wanted to ask, give me just like one individual Barstool memory that like kind of rings the loudest for you. Derik, you're to my left here or right. I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay, I got one for you, and okay. So it was a healthy debate call. Shout out to the rider. Shout out to Rico. It was during the Barstool basketball season 1. And I had called in. And I was tired of Clem's shit at coach at this point. I was just so sick of it. And I called in. And I was like, yo, Rico, like, why don't you just take the clipboard over? Like, why don't you? And he was like, I see myself at a better capacity, player coach. And season 2, he went player coach, and that was their best season. And I was just like, he called his shot. There was so many.
I love how much you ride, bro.
There's so many on Healthy Debate. I mean, I called the Perma L Tate. I called my shot on that on Healthy Debate. That's up there too for me because, I mean, I called that and like this year I said July and then it went crazy. But shout out to Tate. But
yeah, he's doing his best up there. No, I love that. That's why I wanted to ask the question. I'm sure that we all have that one. Like, I've called in the Healthy Debate and got Rico barking on the bus, and that shit was awesome. It rings highly for me too as well. Let me throw it to Reed with the same question before I get to Twan, because Twan, you got too many to pick from. I'm trying to give you time.
I'd say there's 3 that like kind of are tied for me, and I'll hit them like super quick, 1-2 sentence. First one that really got me pumped up for like content and getting further and further into Barstool was the first case race. Sass is only like 2 months older than me. So when they did the first case race, I was only 2 months away from turning 21. So I told all my boys like, hey, if it's not the day of my birthday, at some point, I just want all of us to do some like a case race similar to this, come up with funny games, this and that. So just got me pumped to start responsibly drinking legally. Second, I'd say everything involving Moo Can't Sleep. It's been awesome and like just interacting with them. But the biggest thing was just the love and support I got from Mook and Maresh in the chat when I got in my car wreck. So much so that I haven't even said it on Moo Can't Sleep, but a day or 2 after, because I was unable to work because I got a concussion and everything, Maresh just randomly DM'd me and was like, what's your Venmo, and sent me $100 just out of the kindness of his heart for just saying like, hey, I know like, you clip here and there when you can, this and that, but here's just something just as a thank you, hope you get better, this and that. So that's just awesome. And then third, honestly, is the whole Rough and Rowdy thing. It was a 5-hour drive, took me 6.5 hours because of a thunderstorm. I left my house at 10 p.m., through a thunderstorm on the back roads through West by God, Virginia, just to go finally meet some guys that I had only ever had conversations with in a Twitter group chat for like 7 months. Whether it was, seeing you, Sandos, meeting Frankie, picking Twan up from his hotel and dropping him off and this and that, whether it was, the whole Brady 4 with Cliff D. Martino and everything. Just Mikey Betts, Jenks, the Abel brothers like invading the ring and thinking that, you know, Frankie and John were about to get in, but they were just protecting Frank. It was just awesome just to see, not just meet some Barstool people I've like, just to be like, holy shit, I'm actually like having a conversation with Jersey Jerry about Russie, and like, oh, I'm meeting Jenks and finding out just the freak of nature that Jenks is, but also just meeting all the boys from the chat. And I still haven't met Derik yet. Derik and I are trying to get, you know, a JMU football game going, or
Yeah, we missed
find
out on
something.
the Commie Steelers. You should have been there.
We're
with us.
here. We're here. And I'm just pumped that, you know, we're doing this. But that was the biggest thing of just, you know, diehard Stoolies that are just like me, that just consume everything, and pumped up.
Yeah, it's the best when you meet like-minded individuals with really the games, well, the same goal in mind. I know that Cliff's goal was different. You know, you met Cliff. Cliff's goal is beyond our reach. He's just Cliff D. Martino. That's who he is.
That's all you have
But
to
that,
say.
but yeah, it was awesome. And like, you know, that night, Twan and I went backstage and got to see, you know, Dave and Big Cat and Jersey Jerry and everybody back there in the green room, shit like that. You know, it's me dressed up ready to go fight, and Twan dressed as a fucking security guard. Like, you know, so there's that little shit that comes from going to these live shows, feeling included in it, you know, getting to talk to the guys and meet the guys that we look up to and we envy. And Twan, you've had the opportunity to be around multiple times, on the Yak multiple times. On Jerry After Dark, he didn't choose you as his best friend, and I still kind of, you know, like I'm all on board with Russie, but like, come on,
Twan's
like,
sister was even on Jerry After Dark. What are
yeah,
we talking
exactly,
about?
yeah, exactly.
She
She
beat
won it.
Carlita.
That's what, not
Yes,
that she wasn't
she
on
won.
it. She won it. Yeah. Carlita got robbed, but she won it. But yeah, Twan, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, the favorite is got to be, again with Reed, Rough and Rowdy. Dude,
Oh, really?
I mean, it was just one after another. We do all this shit, and then like at your highs, you're like, oh wow, like I could get higher. Then your lows, you're like, wow, I'm a fucking loser.
Yeah,
Like,
dude,
no one
all
gives
the
a no one
time.
gives a fuck. What are you? Then most days are in the middle. But from
Yeah.
fucking one thing after another that day, it was just what a beautiful fucking cosmic event it was. From like I went up, I pulled up, Reed's outside. I meet all you guys across the street. You guys are parking. From having no ticket on hand to like having the VIP passes go in the ring. Sans takes me backstage. Finally see Dave, because I've never met him when I was in the offices or whatever. And then when we leave, we do all that. The whole thing was fucking amazing. From like I forget what producer was. The security guard basically was like, "Hey, like don't get in the shot." I think it was like to me and
Devlin.
or it was Devlin. He was
He
like,
told you
"Hey,
to
like
get
just
in,
so so security guard was like, "Hey, don't get in the shot behind the guys." I was like, "Yeah, dude, like whatever. Yeah, I'll move wherever." And then Devlin, I guess, overhears. He's like, "No, like we want him in the shot." I was like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." Even though it's dumb, but I'm like, "That's cool." That was the first thing. Later on, eventually, out of nowhere, at the end of the fight, I forget who comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, they want you to do the thing with Large for the ring girl." I was like, "That's fucking sick." My head was fucking spinning. I had no time to prepare. Just sat down. We started going. That was
Yeah.
fun. I was like, "Wow, that's
Meanwhile, I'm
crazy."
sitting behind you with a fucking concussion. Like, am I seeing
Yeah.
big? Is that Big Twan next to Large? I'm looking at Frankie like, Frankie, is that fucking Big Twan talking to Large right now? I don't know. Like, am I that fucked up still?
It was wild. And then after that, we hang out. We met up with Mikey Betts. Mikey Betts couldn't have been fucking cool, the coolest guy. And he was telling me when we left the green room, and again, I don't like to say all this stuff because it sounds like I'm like trying to be fucking cool or something. But I was like, yeah, when you left the green room, Dave was like, who is that guy? He's fucking electric. And I fucking got a full on raging fucking boner. Couldn't tell, but it was rock hard. But yeah, that, and then I'm thinking back, I'm like, that's fucking so sick.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's just not that it could obviously mean nothing, but like the fact that they, I guess, trusted me enough to be on a live pay-per-view I could have went fucking hog wild and started saying wild shit.
No,
You know what I mean? Like that
totally
whole
sense.
fucking experience was so dope.
Just how cool it is to like just feel a little bit included like that. Like just when we went to the Last Dozen live event, and I just walked up to Pete and was like, "Hey, Pete, I'm doing a vlog for the breakdown. do you mind like maybe I get like a tour quick, like whatever? And Pete had no issue with it. You know, he even sat there and talked with me about previous live events, then took me upstairs, you know, where Kirk and Rico and Jerry were all hanging out, you know, getting ready for the pre-show. So I could say, like I said, what's up to everyone, still got a shot of everything in the vlog. It's just really cool how, like, if you are really, like, obviously we are more outspoken than most fans, you know, which is why this group of people I enjoy a lot, because we're outspoken, really just don't give a fuck about like the public opinion. Obviously, Twan, like you say, there are those days where it's like, damn, bro, what the fuck am I doing this for? Like, I could be fucking jerking off in my bed right now, and I'm over here trying to edit clips for a podcast no one gives a shit about. But the idea is to make that podcast, you know, at least a little people give a shit about it. And I feel like there are those people already. So, and I'm having a blast with it, but there's a way to make it better. And I think involving more people, more unique individuals who don't really care that much for the public opinion, like, you know, like, let's get after it. Yeah. It just makes sense to me.
Yeah. Some
Also,
of the best
sorry,
advice
sorry.
I got from Mikey Betts, when I was talking to Mikey Betts at the bar, I went up to him and was like, hey, because Mikey Betts had followed me for a while. We've talked in the DMs, me just asking advice of like, hey, I'm trying to, you know, one day get an internship. I go up to him and I'm like, hey, I'm Reed. We've talked before on like on Twitter DMs and stuff. I had just cut my mullet, and my profile picture on Twitter is me with a mullet. And I didn't even say you know, anything. I was just like, hey, I'm Reed. And he was like, oh, didn't you have a mullet? I recognize you from like the profile picture. So I was like, the fact that he knows who I am. But Mikey Betts, the best advice he gave me he was like, how much content are you doing, this and that? He said, if you put out content and you get one person and you only get one view, but that one view cares about what you're putting out, that's better than 10,000 people watching and no one giving a shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like what they said. They said that in the PMT episode 2 documentary. It's like, if it's one guy's fault, then, you know, whatever. But if it's, well, no, if it's, you know, you go 10 episodes, it's the same. Maybe it's not. If you go 10 episodes, you get canceled. It's your fault. If you go one, yeah, it's not the same. Never mind. I'm just spewing shit.
No, you had something there. You had something there.
Yeah, it happened.
You know what else I was gonna say? Like, who fucking cares? Like, who gives it? Like, what else would I be doing right now? Sitting at this exact same spot, fucking scratching my 3 nuts and just watching fucking YouTube?
Right.
Like, who? It's not like I'm sacrificing fucking, like, I'm not doing anything else anyway. Like, who cares? We do it on our off time because it's enjoyable and it's fun. You get one fucking trip on this earth. Do it the way you want to do it. Like, it does. Like, these fucking losers. Everyone's a loser. I'm gonna go on around. Everyone's a fucking loser. So who cares what the other losers say about how much of a loser we are? Everyone's a loser. No one's fucking anything. So let's get the fucking blog going.
Yeah.
Let's fucking rally. And let's fucking continue on.
It's the Barstool Breakdown. Go ahead and give it to me. Breakdown. Let's listen to those guys. Breakdown. What's happening at Barstool this week? Breakdown is more time. It's more